In this video, I'll be reviewing your Pokemon, and more specifically, this is a submission posted by Surmage, hope I pronounced your name right, in the YouTube My Mon text channel. This is the nirtheart Discord. It's my Discord, and it's pretty cool. You can get access by spending $2 one time to get lifetime access. Now you could also go for the renewal and be a monthly member and get early access to videos into the future and all that stuff, but actually the only thing that's required is you become a YouTube member, you go into the Discord, get full access, and at that point, if you want to end the renewal, perfectly fine. Then you have access to a whole bunch of chats, and a special campaign is ongoing. For the October month, I am going to make a video for each and every one of you who post 3 screenshots in the YouTube My Mon text channel of your Pokemon. So that special campaign is not going to be ongoing forever. Probably not going to be much longer. It is October that it ends. And so if you're interested, there's the offer. All right, Cramorant is one of the 3 Pokemon that Surmage, I'm sorry. These are the Pokemon. So they're all Pokemon that are hard to hunt, is the comment. And the first Pokemon is a Cramorant. This is a little bit of an interesting choice in terms of Pokemon to hunt. And it has the ingredient list AAC. So it's actually a partial egg Pokemon. Kind of makes sense, it's a bird. But yeah, Cramorant is a Pokemon that I've personally put in the never hunting tier, just because it is not as good as Meowscarada for potatoes. It's not as good as Ditto / Toxicroak for oil, although it's an interesting Pokemon. It can do some things uniquely. It has the Tasty Chance S as a main skill, for example, and this one happens to have the skill trigger S. It also happens to have the skill level up S. And at that point, I mean, if you put 2 sub-skill seeds into it, you make it skill trigger M and skill level up M, and you have the inventory, you have a good chance of actually banking at least 1 trigger. You can only bank 1 because it's an ingredient specialist before it runs out of steam. Now at level 75, we have ingredient finding with a quiet nature. So overall, I would say this is a pretty decent Cramorant. I would probably prefer that ingredient list, to be honest. It's not a whole lot of Pokemon where the C ingredient kind of makes a big difference, but eggs is a little bit of a hard to get ingredient, at least for now. Delibird is a problematic Pokemon. You've all seen it here on the channel. So with the oil, you can probably supplement that if you have an AAC Ditto. That's probably a hunt that I would put on your priority list if you were to ask me, but this is pretty cool. Not a huge fan of Cramorant overall, but this one I like. So you got some oil in there, you got a bunch of eggs, you got that nicely stacked inventory, ingredient finding M, and the ingredient finding of nature, as well as a little bit of a skill flair here. So at level 3, you're gonna give 6% towards that Tasty Chance, and that is pretty huge. And with a 5% skill rate, that's actually decent. So I think overall this Cramorant is pretty strong. Don't understand why that inventory is so high. Oh yeah, inventory up L, and I also put 1,000 hours on it. Maybe it won't even go past 500 much, but that is pretty cool. Haven't really talked too much about Cramorant here on the channel for a while, so thank you very much for posting. It is interesting with these Pokemon that are hard to get because it's rare that you actually find someone posting them as strong as this one. So yeah, the ingredient finding M comes a little bit late, but I think overall the balancing of this Cramorant, if you really like Cramorant, I think this is one to really consider because of the unique main skill. It has inventory, both of the ingredient finders to an extent, and a decent ingredient list. All right, let's hop on over to the next Pokemon, Suicune. I can also mention Cramorant is a flying type in Pokemon Sleep, so it will not combo with Suicune. All right, we are going to quickly reset the widget here. And this Suicune seems to be quite nice. We've seen a lot of Suicunes here on the channel, so I don't know if it lives quite up to the standard of all of the Suicune across the board, but it's not bad, and so we'll get into it. First of all, it has the Careful Nature, and then it has the Helping Speed S at level 50, and Helping Speed M at level 75. Those come in a little bit late, and in my opinion, what saves this Suicune is the Inventory M earlier on. Now, if you take away this one, and remember you can't subskill seed the speed at level 50, it's not bad. I think it beats the base Suicune, and it is very useful with that inventory. I've run a lot of testing with my Entei. Inventory L is amazing, and the level 100 trait here is the Inventory S. So you can actually subskill seed that inventory, and that is something, if you plan on using this Suicune, I would recommend. Now, overall, you may want to be on the fence with this one, in my opinion, just because it is going to be a little bit lackluster because it doesn't have the skill trigger M. And it's going to take you a while to get to level 75. So essentially what you're looking at is this. And for a legendary Pokemon where you have to invest at least 6 main skill seeds, or 5 at this point in time, but it's going to be 6 in not too long, it may be worthwhile to just look a little bit further, maybe go through your Entei or your Raikou and see if potentially there are some of those that you can invest further instead. Maybe even consider Togekiss, which is a funny twist, or future legendaries for that matter. Now, I would definitely not release this one. It depends on, excuse me. It depends on your collection too. If you, let's say, have a very strong Quagsire and Feraligatr and the rest, then this can still do a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but in terms of the skill specialist, skill triggers, you're going to fall a little bit behind. So we can just example, add the skill trigger M here and see where the skill rate jumps to. It's currently at 312, goes up to 424 by just adding skill trigger M. And then if you also consider the speed a little bit, that is comparable to the skill trigger S, which is another jump. So if you go from 480, which is a decent potential, and compare that to 312, there's a big gap there. And so overall, not a terrible Pokemon. I think it potentially scores better than base Suicune. But if I was to invest 6 or 5 main skill seeds into something of a skill specialist, I'd personally be a little bit careful. But obviously, it depends on your playstyle and collection goals and a lot of factors like your overall collection too. Like if you have a lot of bust water types, you might as well. All right, the last Pokemon is a Delibird. Now, I do have a full-on Delibird review video in the pipeline. I've just wanted to get out these more individualized videos yet, and I just realized I had evolved twice on with a Suicune. So that inventory was a little bit too high than it should be. Just keep that in mind. And then Delibird is also flying type, even though it could have potentially also been an ice type, but there we go. Let me just double check something. Yup. And so the final Pokemon is a triple egg Delibird. Delibird as a Pokemon in general is one where ingredient finding is really, really important. And that is why the Delibird is such a hassle. Because not only do you need the mono eggs list for it to really outcompete the Abomasnow, but because the ingredient rate is so low to outcompete the Abomasnow, you also need good skills on that list. And triple eggs is a 1 in 9. And finding 1 or 2 supplemental traits like the ingredient finding up nature, ingredient finding M subskill, and the helping speed M subskill, it's going to be a little bit hard on you. So the nature here is lax. Above neutral, you don't care about the main skill on a Delibird. Skill rate is very, very low already. You just don't care. The 2 first skills here are inventory M and inventory S. You don't really need a whole lot of inventory on the egg Delibird, and so in my opinion, it's a little bit of a wasted slot. Unfortunately, it's kind of the same as my Absol. I was very excited about my Absol originally, and I still am. It's just going to take a lot of work to get it to level 50 where it unlocks one of those useful traits. But at level 50 here, you have Skill Trigger, not useful on a Delibird, and then the ingredient finding comes in at level 75. Now, level 75 is a long ways away. And if you do sub-skill seed it, which you can, to ingredient finding M, you can see that the overall assessment here is a little bit more positive. But getting the Delibird to level 75 is going to be a huge piece of work. And we can also say here that the level 100 skill is skill level up S, which is also useless. So I think potentially, in terms of the egg productions, depending on how many Delibirds you've found, if you've found a Delibird that has more ingredient finders early on, let's say find ingredient finder, let's see, we can do ingredient finding M here, we can do the helping speed M, maybe the mild nature. Let's just make a hypothetical thingy here. Compared to that Delibird and a hypothetical AAX Delibird, where you cap it at level 30, you don't care what the last ingredient slot is. I think even at level 30, you're going to be looking at more eggs here. So this is a case where I would advise against investing in it. It is nice with triple eggs, don't get me wrong, but because of the sub skills being on the lackluster side, in my opinion, you'll be more than happy with an AAX Delibird, cap it at level 30, if you can find some more stronger ingredient finding skills, because that is really important on the Delibird. You're not going to be looking at a lot of value in that flying type berry. And so overall, that is my assessment on the Delibird. So at this point in time, you may also even consider the Abomasnow. Abomasnow is 5 points to befriend in the Snover. It's a little bit rare, actually. So now that the area bonus is 75% max, that's going to help a lot at Snowdrop Tundra, and I'm actually kind of excited to go kind of back. No, I got too many bad memories for now. But yeah, the Abomasnow, if you find a Snover with eggs at level 30, I think potentially even this can be better than the mono egg Delibird unless it has good traits. And that is just, I want to emphasize this because I know I've talked so much about triple egg Delibird, but it also has to be good, which is like the added frustration on top. Like you need at least 1 or 2 triggers and maybe some speed for the triple eggs to work, because you can see here, the Abomasnow is not a whole lot slower than the Delibird. And at level 30, you're going to be looking at 1 in 5 productions. If we slash this ingredient rate by half, 1 in 5 productions is going to be eggs. And it's going to be 4 eggs. So that is actually a decent comparison to the level 30 Delibird that we just looked at. But yeah, it's a complicated Pokemon, and I do think it's very interesting though, with the submission here being the theme. They're all Pokemon that are hard to hunt, and that's just exactly what we're seeing here. The Delibird, it is in a mono list, but it's going to take a lot to get it to level 75, where it kind of starts to get going. And with the mints not being a part of this game, I think it may be worthwhile to either look for Snover or to see if you can find an AAX Delibird. So hopefully overall the analysis here is helpful in one way or another. In the final analysis, you have to do your own playstyle. You have to adjust depending on your collection and collection goals. And so hope you've enjoyed this video overall. You can leave me a big ol' thumbs up if you liked it and want to see more content like this in the future. Thank you very much for watching.